What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a 2018 JL Rubicon Unlimited in the shop, and I got a couple of things I just need to do on it. It is an awesome setup. It's got a 3.5-inch lift from TerraFlex. It's got 35s. It's a heck of a rig, but we have one little thing going on with it. There is a light on the dash that indicates that the auto start-stop function is not currently working. This light right here, the little A with the exclamation point, is the auto start stop light. Now, if it were mine and I was keeping it, which, trust me, I've considered, I probably wouldn't be concerned about it. I'm not overly worried about the engine shutting off at a red light. And actually, there's quite a few ways to disable that so that you don't have to use it if you don't want to. Which if I kept it, I probably would. However, we want to make sure that this thing's working properly. So we're going to take a look and figure out why that light's on. The possibility is that it just needs an auxiliary battery. So we're going to get to work on that. I'll show you a couple of things that you can look at if you are having this issue with your JL. It's not uncommon, and as a matter of fact, there's some ways that if you don't want to use that auto start stop, you can shut it off as well. So I'll show you what those are, and we'll get to the bottom of why the light is actually on. So stay tuned and let's see what's going on with this thing. Alright, so it's a little windy out here today. I got a lot of projects going on, including this 2017 JK Rubicon. I actually really like it, and we'll be doing a bunch more on that here shortly because I've got a whole bunch of things that are going back into that. But right now, I've got this 2018 JLU. It is a Rubicon as well. It's got some really nice stuff on it. It's well equipped. It's on 35s, 3.5-inch TerraFlex suspension with Falcon shocks. Nice aftermarket bumper with a Smitty-built 10,000-pound winch, rigid lights, you know, the whole nine. So really sweet rig. Like I said, one of the things that we have going on with it right now is that it has an auto start stop light on the dash. Usually pretty simple to fix, and only a couple of things that typically could be. So we're going to take a look at it and get that thing resolved. I've picked up an auxiliary battery for it because that is my belief, is that potentially the auxiliary battery needs to be replaced. Now that's not overly uncommon. If you have this going on, you may want to take a look at that. But I'm going to show you a couple of other things real quick as well that may come in handy just to see. Now this only has 15,000 miles on it. So being that it's a 2018 and it's only got 15,000 miles on it, there's a chance that it sat for a little bit. It's a one owner, so maybe it was a secondary vehicle, not something that they used very often, which when vehicles sit, batteries drain. Sometimes they're harder to keep a charge on afterwards. It does have a new main battery in it, so that's pretty recent, but that doesn't mean that the one underneath the fuse box, which is the auxiliary battery, has been replaced since the other one has as well. So that's what we're going to check out today. I've already kind of done a little bit of troubleshooting here and there, so let me show you a couple of the things that could be disconnected in case your auto start stop light is on and maybe not working. Let's check it out. Underneath the JK, there are a pin like these. There are, however, two of them underneath the JL, and one of them specifically is for the auto start stop function. Now there's a couple of things on this, and one day I didn't even realize it was as simple as this. I was moving it around in the parking lot, and I kind of left the door cracked because I was going to back it up and move it over, so the door wasn't shut tight. And this thing would not go into drive, and I kept looking at it. It kept saying auto, I don't even remember what it says, like auto park engage or something like that, and I had no idea why I wouldn't do it. I finally realized I've got the door open, I shut the door, and then it engaged into drive just fine. So that was interesting. Putting a JL next to a JK, it is like night and day difference. The amount of upgrades that they've done to the JL is insane. Personally, I love it. I'm not a big fan of all the extra electronics and things like that on most vehicles, but man, it's hard not to love driving this thing. I absolutely do. Love it on the road. This would be a great family vehicle. My wife loves it a lot more than she likes the Grand Cherokee. So I don't know. There may be a Wrangler Unlimited in my future. It may be one of these two. I'm not gonna lie. I can't make up my mind right now. There's something about a JK that's already sitting on 37s and has a bunch of stuff done to it that would be nice. But there's something about the JLU with all of the accessories that it has, or all of the amenities that it has that would be really nice to drive as well. So the first thing I checked, back to the auto start stop, is this one on the right here. If you're looking at it, it's on the driver's side or on the right hand side while you're looking at it. If that's disconnected, then your auto start stop function will be off. You can actually pull these, you can actually pull this right out. It's pretty easy to do. And there's a connector on the bottom. If that is disconnected, it won't work. So if you're looking to disconnect your auto start stop because you don't like how it functions or you don't want to use it, yada yada yada, then do that. The other thing is that over here on the battery, let's see, there is this little button right here. So this comes right off. This is also an attachment for the auto start stop function. Now, this was obviously connected. I thought maybe, you know, one of these could be loose, something like that. That's not the case. This one's on, so is the one on the other side. This is actually a new battery, and I can tell because there's the markings on it that suggest that this is a pretty new battery. I know where I got it from, and it was labeled as such. So I know they just put a new battery in. My thought is that it's the auxiliary battery. All you have to do is take out this battery. We're going to remove the fuse box, and then underneath it is a small Group 400 AGM battery, and we're going to swap that out with a new one and see if that resolves the issue. I believe it should. If it doesn't, then we might have something else going on, and we may have to go have it checked by the Jeep dealer itself, but I think that's probably the issue. I also mentioned that I'm not too concerned about auto start stop, but after doing some reading, the auxiliary battery also handles a few other things. So if the auto start stop function isn't working and the auxiliary battery is the cause, then potentially there's other systems that the auxiliary battery runs that may become an issue in the future. So we're gonna get these things out, get that battery in, see if that takes care of our problem, and go from there. So let's make it happen. All right, so 2 10mm bolts on the battery. Then one down at the bottom. Pull the fuse box top off, and there's going to be 4 7mm bolts right inside here. Alright, so here's the other thing, and just kind of want to get you close in up here. All of these need to come off. There's a blank one here at number 4, but they're all labeled and they have numbers. There you go. You can see 1, 2, and 3 there. You're not going to mix them up. They obviously go right back in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th is blank, 5th, 6th, 7th. They have all got numbers on them. Number 8 is blank as well, but number 4 is the only one with a post. So those are all 10mm bolts as well. We're just gonna get those off. Batteries out, a couple more 10mm bolts down here. These are our 7mm bolts. Those 4 that all came out. We're gonna lift this thing out of here. So this is up, pulled all the sides off there. We're gonna disconnect each one of these on the bottom. There's 4 of them down here, pretty easy to pull off. And if you need to, you can take a quick picture of them and make sure you don't put them back in the wrong place. But again, everything's kind of coming into where it needs to go, so you shouldn't get that confused either. When you get in here, you've got a couple of 10mm bolts, and there's a 7mm down over there. Actually, I don't think I needed to take any of these off of here, but we'll see in a minute. I think just these 2 front ones, and should be able to get that cover off and get to the auxiliary battery. 4 more 10mm bolts there, one there, one there, one there, and one on the other side. And that should let us get this whole thing off. So. Alright, so the only other thing is you got to pull these studs out of the other. I don't have the little wrench for it, so 5/32 works great. Swap it out and let's reinstall it. Took a minute to wrap this up because I got the auxiliary battery in, and then once I got it in, turned the Jeep back on, and I had actually lost power steering as well, which ended up being kind of a blessing. So I wasn't sure what was going on with it. There was a slight spark as I was putting it in, which you've got a battery connected at the bottom. The cables at the top weren't connected at all, so it was a little odd to me, but again, there's a battery connected. Shouldn't be much of those sparks at all off that terminal. So the side where there is all of the connectors, as I was putting them back on, one kind of sparked, and it made me think. Once I started it up, the auto start stop was still, the light was still on, which means it still wasn't working even after replacing the auxiliary battery, and I had lost power steering. So upon doing a little research on the power steering, this little component, the fuse panel at the bottom, as you can see, there are little notes for the amp size of the fuse. So number 6 over here says 09A, but right above it, it says 125A, 125 amps. There's fuses in this. So after looking at a little bit more, it shows where on your fuse panel where the block is for the auto start stop as well, and that is also number 6, which is the one that sparked, is where the power steering or electro hydraulic power steering, EHPS is how it's abbreviated on there. That's also on there. So luckily the Dodge dealer had one more of these left. Went down, picked it up. You can find them online for about 65 bucks. Picked this up, swapped it in, and power steering was fixed, and the light is now off for the auto start stop, which means it's working properly and fine. Auxiliary battery was the original. So you can see, where does it say here? Manufactured for FCA USA, which is the original manufacturer battery. So that's been replaced. This fuse array has been replaced. This is the part number. We'll add it right there just in case you need it. And I'll include it in the link below. But just in case you do all of this, you go through the connections. All your connections are good. Your auxiliary battery is good. As I scrolled through online, and this is a new thing for me because I haven't worked on a bunch of JLs at this point, there's a ton of people that are posting like, yeah, the dealer said they couldn't get it fixed. We replaced the main battery, replaced the auxiliary battery, took the dealer in time to figure it out. They're saying it's the fuse block. This is really simple, and this is all it is. And once you pull this out, it slides in and out. These are fuses. You slide it back in, reconnect everything. Make sure you connect it the proper way. And again, it's hard not to, because on this side, you can see it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's all it is. Simple, done, fixed. That was easy. Here's a little walk around of the JL. This is a rig that I've got up for sale right now. Really tempted to keep it. Let the wife drive the 2017 JK today, and we swapped vehicles again. She pulled that back in and she said, I like the JK, but man, that other one is just awesome. So I don't know, maybe I'll keep it. We'll see what happens. But right now, it is for sale on PSF Motorsports. Here's a little walk around video of it. a 2018 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon. This is 2018, and halfway through the 2018 year, you got the new JL that came out. The JK is also halfway through that year, so you can have a 2018 JK. For those of you that wonder, it is a massive step up. It is a massive difference. The amount of technology that is in the JL far exceeds anything that's on the JK. That may be a positive, it may be a negative. This repair today is probably an example of some of those little things that can fail and create issues because of all the technology on there. I will say one of the things that I'm repairing on the JK that I'll share with you is I took apart the entire sway bar disconnect to see what was going on with it. It's not sealed real well from the factory. For those of you that are unfamiliar, there's a switch that allows your sway bar to disconnect. A lot of water gets in there, rust, corrosion, mud, it looks terrible. So cleaned all that thing out, reconnected it, and it still wasn't working, so the actuator was the problem. So we're gonna do a repair on that to actually change it out to something from Evo Manufacturing that allows it to switch on its own and not have to worry about that anyway. To me, it's kind of a weak point. It's awesome that it's a feature, but the way that Jeep has designed that, while it's innovative and it is really cool in the way that it works, and internally the gear's really strong. I like the way that they've done it. They need to find probably a better way to keep the motor and the actuator and the wiring from failing on that. So Evo Manufacturing has 2 fixes for that, and I'll share that in the next video, so don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss that. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.